Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over what I felt were the best and the worst tracks of the week. Of course, before we get into this, a few things I need to mention. Our Amazon Associates link down there in the description. If you use that, anything you buy in the US, we get kickback from it. Does not add to your overall price. Use it to buy some shit you were going to buy anyway. I know you guys are using it. I appreciate you guys who are using it. If you're not using it, what were you thinking about? New album I want on vinyl. I really wanted those pants. Whatever. Just use the freaking thing. Thanks. We also have a similar thing going on with the good people over at Turntable Lab. There's a page linked down there in the description where you can see some albums I've reviewed, some audio equipment for people who are looking to get into record collecting. And if you get some stuff over from them, we get kickback from that too. And finally, I have to mention the good people over at feedbands.com. That's feedbands.com. They are using the power of crowdsourcing to create their very unique music subscription service. It's a vinyl of the month club, pretty much. And basically, artists upload their music onto the website. People who are users listen to the music, they vote up on the music, and sort of in this democratic fashion, it is decided what records are so special that they will be printed on vinyl, which is actually, like, again, as I said, a pretty unique process when it comes to these vinyl subscription services. Never heard of this sort of thing before. And there's a link down there in the description where you can get a free trial. All you got to do is pay some shipping, and they will send you one of the records that they have printed so far. And just check out the service, see how unique the service is, see what they have to offer, because it is kind of a weird, special, very strange place in a good way on the internet as far as this big, wide world we know as the music community goes. So again, that's feedbands.com. And that is feedbands.com/needle drop for that free trial. Cool? Cool. All right, let's get into the tracks. All right, let's kick it off with the worst tracks of the week, as we usually do. Got to give a shout out, unfortunately, to TLC on their new song Haters. Unfortunately, TLC just comes off to me on this track as it's just really awkward. It's painfully awkward. And not only because I think the song is really weak and just not really their style. It sounds like some kind of sunny, uppity, radio-friendly indie pop hook from the 2000s, what's kind of tagged onto this song. But also, it just feels like they're trying too hard to speak the lingo of the new generation by naming a song titled Haters here. And the lyrics really kind of leave a lot to be desired. It's like they're trying again for another No Scrubs, but it's just not working. I'm not exactly sure if they should try to continue to work these sorts of lyrics that are sort of memes in the modern music community and the hip hop community into their music. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's probably only going to give them more exposure in the end. But if they're going to do it, it needs to be done in a way that feels more natural and less kind of focus grouped than on this song. Moving on from there, Riffraff, Lamborghini Leg Lock. Ugh. Riff, he's back. I don't want to open this wound with Riffraff again. I like the guy. He seems like a nice guy. He's very entertaining. He's very funny. But he's literally made some rap metal over here with this track. He sounds like Fred Durst on this song. I have no idea what he's doing. I mean, I'm sure he knows what he's doing. I'm sure he's aware of how cracked out it sounds. But it does. It's a ridiculous song. And I guess intentionally he was trying to make a ridiculous song. That's what it is. And I guess we're just going to leave it at that. It's rap metal. It's Limp Bizkit come back from the dead. Moving on from there, Girlfriend of the Year from the good people over at PC Music. PC Music, check out their YouTube channel if you haven't already. They are releasing music pretty much every day for the month of May, new tracks and original tracks and remix tracks. And this song, to me, unfortunately, was one of the less entertaining songs I've heard them drop this week. It's kind of like they were coming together with a song that was trying to be so postmodern it didn't need real lyrics. Like, the gibberish lyrics on the song might have been cute for a verse or maybe a few lines or something, but it's to the point where it just gets obnoxious on this track, which is a shame because I kind of like the instrumental here, but what's going on lyrically on this track is just so pretentious. I just could not get into it all. It was just so, all right, you're just trying a little too hard. It doesn't feel like there's anything natural or interesting about this. This is just like, you know, a weird little process or experiment you held yourself to, and it didn't turn out all that well, in my opinion. But moving on from there, the I.L.Ys with I Love You Man. You know, honestly, I'm pretty disappointed by these new I.L.Ys tracks. They're not really doing too much for me, to be fair. And this song especially, it just feels like some drab, forgettable noise rock, really bland, really, there's not really much texturally that's all that interesting about it, which is kind of strange because it is a kind of lo-fi, brittle sort of track. You'd think that Zach Hill would sort of take advantage of this opportunity to do something really weird with the mixing or just the sound of the song, but it just sounds really mediocre and just really flat and really lifeless, which is just strange because at least the debut I.L.Y's record was a little colorful, was a little kooky, and the last album that they dropped was bringing in elements of prog rock and experimental rock and art rock and you know, noise rock as well. You know, some elements of that production that you usually catch in like a Death Grip song was turning up in here too. But now on this latest track, it's just like I don't know, it's just some really bland bedroom pop that honestly I would not have guessed that Zach Hill had anything to do with it had I not been told by the name of the band. But just really kind of unenthusiastic about these tracks that the band has been dropping. But the last track in this segment, I'm going to say, with a heavy heart, it's Lil Yachty, it's Bring It Back. This song is awful. I don't know what to say. I've been dying to hear a new single from this new Lil Yachty record, and this is just so however, the more I listen to it and the more I think about it, and I'm keeping it in this section of the video, I'm keeping it in this goddamn section of the video. The more I listen to it and the more I think about it, it does feel like he's continuing to, I guess, give us what to me felt like a unique characteristic about his Little Boat mixtape, and that is that he sort of has this amateurish charm about him. He sort of has this lovable awkwardness about him. This track instrumentally just sounds like just a run-of-the-mill dime a dozen piece of 80s pop with a saxophone and, you know, kind of like some springy guitar in there. I mean, the fact that the whole video here is shot what seems like in this 80s prom setting is totally fitting. It's like, you know, they knew exactly what they were going to do, you know, from the inception of this track to how they would connect to the visuals of the video. And I do think it's very funny. You know, there is something very entertaining about it. There is something about it that is, it's so bad that it's good. Which is, again, you know, part of the way that I feel like Little Boat charmed me, which, you know, maybe when I hear this track in the context of the entire record, who the hell knows? Maybe I'll like it. You know, there are elements of the hook that I do think are kind of sticky. Bring it back, and bring it back. But goddamn, there's so many things that I think are working against this song. That is that Lil Yachty is barely on tempo. Some of the lyrics on this thing are god-awful. The auto-tune on his voice just swallows every and any organic and human quality about his voice to the point where he sounds like some kind of Frankenstein robot. And then on top of that, I think the next worst thing about the song has to be that all over the track, Lil Yachty is doing these I can't tell if it's all overdubs or if he's doing it in between. You gotta bring him back. Bring him back. And what's funny is that his vocals are barely on tempo, so of course these little weird breathy ad-libs are barely on tempo too. So it's just really, there are a lot of awful, distracting things about this track that hopefully down the road, maybe I end up loving. You know, I don't want to hate this track, but it's just such a, like, you're really testing me here. You're really freaking testing me here. And, again, I think it's funny. There are elements of it that I find entertaining, but this just felt a little overboard. But who the hell knows? You know, little Yachty, he has that X factor. He has that X factor that, you know, I guess I will wait to hear the entire album for final judgment, of course. The sun is disappearing, so let me just do this so y'all can see your boy. Let's move on to the tracks that I thought were decent. They were okay. They were kind of meh. Not songs I was totally in love with this week, but tracks that I wanted to mention anyway, just to kind of get them out there. Lydia, Loveless, Desire. She threw together 2 covers of tracks from Justin Bieber's latest record, and she kind of has a really cool I guess kind of rock, alt country sort of take on these songs that are very slow, very dreary. Honestly, like I wouldn't have even guessed they were Justin Bieber songs had I not been told. But I like her renditions quite a bit. I thought they turned out pretty good, at least much better than I would have expected for anybody doing a Justin Bieber cover in 2017. You know, usually it's the kind of thing it seems like an artist is going to do it super poppy and try to appeal to the widest group of people possible. It seems like she's really kind of gotten to the core of the sad emotions on these Justin Bieber songs and have translated them really effectively into this very patient electric guitar music. Moving on from there, Paramore. 2 weeks in a row. Was it last week or was it the week before? I think it was 2 weeks in a row. New song, Told You So. This track is not that bad either. I don't know what's going on here. My world's getting flipped upside down. Paramore come through with these dancey, sort of disco-fried, very shimmering, very sleek pop tracks that are actually pretty likable, you know? I mean, I actually think I liked last week's track a bit more, but this one over here isn't really bad either. Certainly a step up from what I've heard them do in the past, and looking forward to seeing what they're doing on the new record. I'm looking forward to a Paramore album, believe it or not. Moving on from there, Alex G, open parentheses, Sandy, the song Brick. Alex G is dropping track after track after track from this forthcoming record, but this song over here is really making waves. And I like things about it. It's pretty interesting, but it's kind of like a lo-fi industrial punk bedroom spun production here. A lot of people have sort of likened it to Death Grips. I sort of see that comparison, but I don't necessarily think that I mean, they may have been a reference point. I'm not going to say that they weren't. But I think he sort of translates those sounds and those influences into his own little thing here. I like the track. You know, will this new album of his just kind of be a sporadic blend of a million different random ideas? Could possibly be, because of all the songs that have come out so far, there always sort of seems to be a weird experimental quirk or something about them that stands out from the rest. Like, wow, how is this going to come together into a cohesive album? It might not. It might be a crazy like tapestry of a bunch of things that are sort of, you know, very loosely connected. But anyway, this track over here was really adrenaline pumping, was exciting. It was off the wall. It was insane. And I don't know, I'm just kind of waiting to see how this whole album comes together once it's finally out. I mean, I know this one over here, it definitely floored me. It floored me, and I'll leave it at that. Moving on from there, Dead Cross, which is a new project featuring Mike Patton, a member of Slayer 2. Someone was telling me like a member or two of The Locust, which would be pretty awesome, because The Locust is a group whose freaky, experimental, very extreme brand of rock music is something that I think is missing in a lot of modern bands today. Just something that's so wildly just insane. And that definitely turns up on this new song over here. Again, the track is from Dead Cross. The song is Grave Slave. Maybe it is a little too cartoony. Mike Patton's wilder projects do have the tendency to read to me as that. But I definitely am looking forward to a band, especially with musicians who are so seasoned, coming together that feels like so crazy and so lacking in any sort of musical inhibitions. You know, a lot of musicians tend to, at this sort of point in their careers, get stuck in their ways. But it seems like Mike Patton and Dave Lombardo over here are really like doing something spastic and crazy and, you know, really unexpected with this new track and this new project. Next in this section, new Grizzly Bear song, Three Rings. I thought it was okay. You know, I thought it was okay. To me, the song reminded me a lot of early Grizzly Bear, like when it was like just Ed, you know. It feels like there wasn't much, and I'm probably wrong on this, but at least from, you know, outside perspective here, just listening to the song, it felt like there wasn't too much influence coming from Chris or coming from Daniel on this track. It just very purely felt like an effort from Ed, which is fine. But I feel like I don't know. I mean, the songs where I feel like I'm getting a touch of something from, each member, to me, are the ones that really kind of wow me and really kind of hit me. And, Daniel's side of sort of the songwriting really does have quite a bit of, I guess I would say it's a little more accessible. It's a little easier on the ears, a little more easy to digest. The song over here has a very linear structure to it. I like that it sort of builds to a somewhat intense high at the finish, but I feel like it just kind of takes way too long to sort of get to that point, or doesn't provide enough in terms of progression as it moves along. There were moments of the track that felt kind of drab to me, but I like that it sounds like they're doing something different. I would hate for Grizzly Bear to come out with another goddamn album that sounds like their past couple of albums, which, for the most part, I felt like their last record was. While I am not head over heels for this track, I'm at least looking forward to maybe getting to know this song a little bit more when the album comes out, and potentially looking forward to something that is going to be a change of pace for Grizzly Bear, because, I do think they have artistically, in a way, kind of painted themselves into a little bit of a corner, and maybe with this new record over here, they're going to be taking the opportunity to reinvent themselves, or at least, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to happening potentially. And finally in this section, and while these songs are okay, to me it is kind of a disappointment. I wanted to love these tracks, but I have to throw in here the new LCD Soundsystem songs, Call the Police and American Dream, for a couple of different reasons. I mean, Call the Police instrumentally, while some people have pointed out the layers upon layers of Robert Frippian guitars all over the track, and certainly the guitars are one of the more interesting sort of experimental elements about the production. But to me, beyond that, the song to me sounds like just a mediocre New Order song, like a song that would have been left off of Power, Corruption, and Lies. There's not really anything about the instrumental I'm all that wowed by. It just kind of reminds me of just some New Order runoff. Moving on from there, the lyrics are some of the least impressive I've ever heard James Murphy put together on a track. And not that, he's the lyricist extraordinaire or anything like that, lyrical god, but usually there's like a bit of sass or personality, or, just like some sharpness, some crispness in what he's saying and what he's singing, that really kind of comes across in a song, makes a song exciting. I get that maybe this track is a little more forlorn, it's a little more serious, it's a little more sad. For two tracks that seem like they're trying to make political statements, they just seem like such non-statements. James Murphy's ability to sort of provide smart, funny social commentary that sort of sits above the fray of all the insanity going on sort of in society is just completely gone on this track. And the moment where he's the rhyme where he's singing about discussing the history of the Jews. I mean, I understand where that line is coming from politically, what he's reacting to, but the fact that that's giving him the blues just seems like one of the most ham-fisted rhymes that James Murphy has ever written onto a track. The We Don't Believe in Love chorus too on the song seems really lazy. There's not really much about the lyrics that I like on this song. It kind of seems like James Murphy, he's got the ear, he's got the trunk, he's got the tail, but he doesn't know that he's grabbing an elephant yet. It's kind of like he's only got a few pieces of the puzzle, and he's just kind of ranting or kind of reacting to those, and is just so not in touch with whatever the bigger picture is. It just kind of seems like some very lazy commentary. Not because I think he's clueless, but because I feel like he didn't put in the effort to sort of say the sharp, poignant, funny, witty thing that he typically would say on an older LCD Soundsystem record. American Dream, the only thing I really liked about this track were the layers of synthesizers, that kind of synth line that like those layered cascading synths on the track. To me, really, both of these songs, James Murphy came off to me as so flat, so boring, so soulless, so uninspired. I'm not sold on the LCD Soundsystem reunion on these tracks, guys. I'm really not. I was barely sold on it before when they announced it. You broke up the band. You did a farewell tour. You sold a farewell tour vinyl box set. You did a farewell album, band, tour, movie, and now you're coming back with these two clearly mediocre tracks that I just don't know where it's coming from. And I was hoping the return would be a little more exciting, but whatever. Let's get into the tracks that I thought were impressive this week. Got to give a shout out to WAVVES. Don't want to say too much about this song or, any other song from this album going forward because Nathan has come out with so many tracks on this goddamn LP up to the release of the LP. Give us a surprise, dude. Leave something to the imagination. But I just love how textured and noisy and distorted and crazy and off the wall this track is. The production is crazy and it's shaping up to be insane on this new record, and I'm liking that. Harry Styles, Sweet Creature. Got to give a shout out to this track. Another passionate and huge ballad from Harry Styles. This record could be good, guys. This record from Harry could be really, really good. I mean, fair, the song does take a little bit to get going. At first, it just sounds like another generic acoustic ballad that could get onto the radio. But just like Sign of the Times, toward the end of the track, it does kind of hit that big climactic moment that makes the song sort of eargasmic. But moving on from there, Wanlov the Kubolor. Yes, this guy is a rapper who you may not have heard of. He's from Ghana, and this song off of his very long new album, I'm sort of debating still whether or not I'm going to cover the record because it is so huge. There are some great moments on it, but I may come away from the record just kind of feeling like it's a little bloated. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. But this new track of his features Open Mike Eagle. I think both of them together bring some really great chemistry. And if you like this track, another song that I recommend you check out off the album is Yum 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 Yum, which for my fellow vegans out there, you'll really appreciate that song because it's all about how fruits and veggies are so nice. But I'm liking his personality. I'm liking that he hops on some eclectic and very unique production. I'm liking sort of what his perspective and his heritage and his accent sort of bring to the table in terms of just kind of like unique characteristics about his musical style. So shout out to this dude. Shout out to Wanlov the Kubolor. Moving on from there, the new HAIM song, Want You Back. To me, this song sort of condenses and enhances everything I liked about the band's last record. It just seems a little more mature this time around. Like those funky little like Michael Jacksonisms are certainly in the track. The passionate lead vocals, very dramatic, loving lyrics, very emotional, very emotionally potent. And again, it just seems a little more grand this time around. Before I would say, the previous singles from the last record just felt like, very summery, felt very feel good. From what I've heard from these singles so far, those elements are certainly there, but these tracks feel a little bit more like, I'm a little upset this time around. I got some real like emotional shit I got to get off my chest. And I'm liking that. Again, I'm going to say just seems like HAIM as usual, but more mature, more refined. And I think that's, turning up in some good and creative ways in this new material. The band HMLTD, or otherwise known as Happy Meal Limited, have a new song out called Music. It's very crazy. It's very zany, strange post-punk music. I will say it's probably not my favorite of the tracks I've heard from the band so far, but I could see it being a cool little experimental deep cut from their forthcoming record. When that album ends up coming out, I don't know. But the sort of music, like refrains all over the track, along with the driving beat, the kind of synthetic fusion of post-punky grooves and strange electronics on the track. A lot of cool stuff about this song that I like quite a bit. Now, warning on this next track, it's from my boy Kieren J Callinan from down in Australia. The song is called S.A.D or S.A.D, or a song about drugs, and maybe go on Bandcamp to listen to this track, or if you're feeling frisky and if you're feeling bold, go check out the music video because it's a very fun music video. He's kind of doing these weird little solo dance moves in a variety of different outfits, and some of those outfits are quite questionable. I will spoil it and just say one of them is an elephant thong, and the trunk, a piece of his reproductive system goes into the trunk of the elephant, and I believe it's a very risky video, so we're just going to leave it at that. But I'm liking how funky and off the wall and crazy this song is. His last single, Bravado, it's really shaping up to be one of my favorite songs of the year. So sexy, so sleek, but dark too. Very strong 80s vibe coming out of the instrumental on this song as well, but some of the weird pitched vocals all over this track are insane. They're crazy. And I'm just kind of liking what he's doing sonically and aesthetically. Seems like a really cool artistic jump from his last album, which, you know, it's a very dark and experimental and noisy rock elements all over it. This album seems much sunnier, but also very experimental, also very strange. And looking at the album itself, it has some crazy features on it too, from Wise Blood and James Chance of, I think, James Chance and the Contortions fame. So I'm looking forward to hearing this record. Could be an amazing album. One more song I want to shout out from the band Noctem, which is on Prosthetic Records, this new single of theirs, which is titled Cruce, Salus. And this is a crazy blend of thrash metal and black metal, but it also kind of has the volume and the brutality of like a death metal track. And the drumming on this song is insane. It's a very dynamic track too. A lot of different weird, noisy, but also subtle and somber musical passages all over it that I think are really cool. And looking forward to being with this, looking forward to seeing what this band is doing going forward, because this song was pretty creative and very extreme, very strange, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very technically virtuous, very detailed, but very animalistic too. You know, it's not one of those overproduced metal tracks where you don't really kind of get that from it. You know, there's definitely a real rage in this song that I like quite a bit. And those are going to be the tracks for this week, guys. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you got some good recommendations, some good thoughts. And let me know what you thought about these songs down there. The new Lil Yachty track, the new LCD Soundsystem track, all that. Now remember, Amazon link down there, use that. Turntable link down there, use that, and hit up our friends over at the site feedbands.com, feedbands.com/theneedledrop for that free trial to, you know, not only check out their service, but also thank them for sponsoring this video and the rest of the best and worst tracks videos for this month, actually. So, you know, pretty cool sponsorship from those guys. Thank you. Again, feedbands.com/needledrop, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching the best and worst tracks as usual. I know you guys like this segment. I like that you like this segment. That's why I like doing it for you. Okay? Love you. Bye-bye.